episode of Disorderly Blondes. Today's episode is about the benefits of gin and tonic.
Oye, I think you mean gym as an exercise, but if you brought tonic, I mean, we could use it.
And what is your name? I didn't say this is Brenda.
Oh, hi, I'm Brenda, but you start talking about gin and tonic, and
we all distracted.
Gym and phonics, I don't know what.
Hooked on phonics, which we need to be. So, this is weird, because when I pre-interviewed Jason, he said, nice rack, and meet me at the bar. Men are so confusing.
Sorry, Jason. Kristi came in like a kettlebell. We really did remember today's episode is about fitness.
Love it.
Fitness into my mouth.
Twice.
So in case you needed us to demo any moves, we're dressed apart.
That's what she said.
I love that, by the way.
We are on today.
This was super easy because I just pulled out my outfit from the last time I worked out. Oh, did Jason hear that?
It's an 8th grade dance.
Welcome, Jason. And as Kristi's 70s and 80s idol, Olivia Newton-John would say,
let's get physical.
Let's do it.
Woo! Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay.
Are you having fun so far?
We're so dull.
I'm
sorry.
having an exceptional amount of fun.
Whoa.
Hey, you don't have your costume on?
Hashtag on brand.
I actually do. Clark Kent right now.
Don't talk
You can
about
put the
it.
glasses on for a second just to,
You want to show our YouTubers, podcasters, he's putting on some glasses.
Okay.
For
super
YouTube. That
cute.
is super cute. He looks super cute with his 80s glasses because, of course, we're fitness 80s girls today.
I'm fitting to
Fitting's on my face.
introduce
Woo!
Jason officially.
Go for
We're
it.
here with the super. Oh, we should have pre-warned you about the word super. We
Super.
say it a lot.
Yeah.
Like it was super necessary.
Super. Everything is super
necessary.
fun.
Super. And it's Jason Miletsky.
Correct.
Awesome. Of the Exceptional Fitness Foundation. You are a proud dad. Wow. Loud and proud dad to Jake. How old is he?
Jake and Jackson.
Oh, you have a Jackson.
I have a Jackson.
Jackson.
Jaxon.
Oh, yeah, no.
Jake is going to be 6 on the 21st of this month.
Aww,
And he's my little maniac. And Jackson is 3, and he's my chill.
Aw, for now.
Make balance.
Aww. I
Thank
love that.
goodness.
Yes.
Oh, it's so awesome.
And we
to
all
hear
have
about
the
that.
same initials. We're the JRM boys.
Okay, because we're all J's also. That's
Yes.
just, we already talked about staying on topic, but we're all J's also.
Yes.
And so, another time.
Back to the script.
Back to the
Back-
script.
See what happens?
You are
Squirrels, people. They're back.
It's called squirrels. So you are former Broward School Behavior / ESE specialist.
That's correct.
We'll ask you about that. A local.
Woo!
Yay! And deeply committed to creating affordable, individualized fitness programs for individuals with autism and other special needs. Let's go back to Broward.
That's correct.
Well, we're in Broward.
That's correct. So I actually started my career at the Bowdoin World School. I did my
little one went
internship
to
and
Bowdoin.
practicum there in
Lucky you.
97, 8-ish.
Oh, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, I was just a baby. And
Right.
they hired me, and I stayed there and taught for a few years, and then moved on to do a few different things. YMCA, special needs director,
Sorry.
fitness director, yeah, that stuff. And then I left the field for a very short time and said, I need to go back to doing what I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and became the behavior specialist, one of the behavior specialists for Broward District Schools.
Okay.
And I was there for 11 years.
So you're traveling from school to school if you work for the district.
I actually was based out of Wingate Oaks, so I was a center school behavior
Wow.
specialist.
Wow.
Yes. So that was my caseload. And 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I decided, after always having this side gig of doing fitness, and why aren't more people doing this appropriately and with fidelity and with evidence-based practices, that I was going to go ahead and do this because it needed to be done. And I made the jump, and it was really scary, but I'm here.
I love it.
Something we have heard you say in the past is exercise is a life skill. Right now, we say exercise is a fashion statement. But seriously, although we do know there are benefits to exercise for the ASD individual, we had not thought of fitness for our kiddos in that way, that long-term way. Do tell.
So, I remember as a kid, however, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, just being outside playing. That was exercise, right? So, but people had to teach me how to do that. So that was some of the older kids, that was adults, coaches. So what I mean by fitness as a life skill is that if you start learning how to exercise in a fun way at a young age or at any age, and it starts to feel intrinsically good, it will continue, it will become a life skill.
Yes.
It's also so important for everyone. Sometimes people ask me, why is it so important for individuals with autism to exercise? So why is it important for you to exercise?
Right.
That plus many more things.
Same and more. Yeah.
Right. So if we can develop it as a habit, it doesn't become this coach-athlete relationship. It becomes a social skill, a social outing, a life skill, something that individuals want to do.
As opposed to just another therapy I'm having to drive
Right.
to.
You have to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why I don't have the word therapy in our name anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Get fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it used to. The initial system name was Behavioral Athletic Therapy.
Ah.
And it was very clinical, and it was this was at the beginning. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, they have enough therapy. Things can be therapeutic
Right.
without being therapy.
Right.
So that is where we got exceptional fitness, because that includes everyone. We can do inclusion programs, we can do family programs, we can do sibling programs, we can do typical youth programs, we can do whatever we want to do.
Moms and wine program.
Well,
On it.
yep.
Moms who wine and drink wine program.
So that's kind of where that
Okay.
came from.
Mm-hmm. Go.
From watching you work with ASD kids, Jason, it's
Mhm.
pretty apparent you aren't working in a vacuum.
What's a vacuum?
Coño.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong
Have you
podcast.
met her?
Carajo?
You got it.
I can. So there's a method to your madness.
Absolutely.
Join our madness.
Mhm.
You're infusing social skills, balance, accuracy, motor planning, aka all the things that they need and more into the experience, whether it be martial arts for motor skills or cardio for on an uneven path and like that for improved balance. Give us an idea of what your clients can expect.
So it truly is a system, even though it's very individualized and very loose and fun.
No comment.
So the onboarding process, as we like to call it, is just a meet and greet. That's like an intake, getting to know you, because building a relationship with individuals is going to lead to a better outcome, no matter what. So there's not a whole lot of demand.
Is this working for you so far?
This is absolutely working. So there's not a whole lot of demands in that first session. Everyone is different. Intake. I find out all the information about each individual that I need to make sure that we plan for the most success. We prioritize goals and objectives that lead to an individualized fitness plan. And then we start implementing assessment, and we're ongoing data and assessment, and we're constantly changing, just like an IEP, just like any other program. So it really is a teaching system. Although if you were to watch it, you wouldn't know that, because it's not us sitting there checking boxes of data. It's really embedded. It's natural.
Seamless.
Yes, and one of our biggest themes is inclusion and integration into the community. So we are in a real gym. We also do home programming, and we're wherever the individual is going to be successful, that's where we start. The goal is to build into inclusion and independence.
Are you
That's the
organized
goal.
in groups, by age groups, by ability, by how are you organized?
So all of our clients start one-on-one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The reason being is that our primary mission is to get people healthy. So while social skills are hugely important, and there are many entities that concentrate on social skills and building some fitness, we really want to teach the skills necessary to be able to safely exercise and progress to be healthy
Independently?
independently.
Wow.
So we use visual schedules and whatever an individual needs to be as independent as possible. The appropriate prompting and all of the stuff you would see in a good classroom. You can call it a classroom in the gym. It's really what you could call it, because that's how we run it. To make sure that we're maintaining and generalizing to different coaches and areas and environments.
You have partnered with the town of Davie and use its Pine Island Fitness and Aquatics Center as your home base.
That's correct.
We love a town, hey Miami Lakes,
Hey, Miami Lakes, Miami Lakers.
who embraces the special needs community. So it's so cool to hear someone else is doing this. Tell us more about your relationship with them.
So the town of Davie has been hugely instrumental in having the Exceptional Fitness Foundation become a reality.
Oh.
The way it kind of came about, the partnership was I was actually running a fitness camp for another company at one of the Davie gyms. Davie Parks for adults. And
Sorry to cut you off. That's the second time we mentioned Davie. Ding, 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 ding. Shout out to Julia.
Yeah,
Back-to-back podcast,
Davie was in Davie.
and it wasn't the rodeo. So
Rodeo clowns.
So as we were running our program and we were doing some rucksacking, which is basically a backpack with a little bit of weight, and it really helps walking become more effective and things like that. A gentleman came up to me and said, what you're doing is really great. I love this. By the way, I'm the director of Parks and Recreation for the town of Davie, and his name's Jeffrey Pullman. And he just happened to be in that park because they were installing some fitness equipment in like this grassy area. So he just happened to be there checking on it. But he saw what we were doing and he came over to me and said, here's my card, set up, come talk to me. Let's see what we can do. And so of course, I was in his office like the next morning.
Of course.
This is, yeah. And we moved very quickly into a partnership to be able to use the gym and the pool and the park and helping us market and all this really cool stuff that by happenstance, the right person in the right place may happen.
He was hanging out by a grassy knoll.
Yeah.
There's a,
Well,
who knows?
Lots of grass and
and it's interesting because the way that we, and I don't like to say I, because Exceptional Fitness Foundation is a team now. I have 5 coaches, and I will give them shouts out in a little bit, because they are amazing. Without them, we would not be doing what we're doing. They allow us to be bigger than we could ever be, to see more people than we ever could serve.
I can't even imagine between their
I was gonna
facilities,
say,
their
logistics,
contact,
like
a random person walking in and seeing what you're doing. I mean,
I was gonna ask about logistics of organizing the individuals, the groups.
Yeah.
It's one of the most.
Wow.
It's one of the most difficult aspects of what we do.
Sure.
Scheduling agenda.
Scheduling
Agenda.
and all that stuff is very difficult.
And so the gym is still, or the center is still operating.
Absolutely.
It doesn't close down for you.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
So we have a couple of areas that we use primarily for the indoors for our system-specific exercises.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do is we also graduate those who are ready to real machines and real weights and real stuff. But the great thing is that we have outdoor areas. So we can take into consideration sensory needs, behavioral difficulties, preferences.
Right.
When the weather's nice, things that if we need to take a break, all these things, we have areas to do that. So some individuals can't manage in the gym at first. So we start outside and we slowly shape the behavior into tolerating the gym atmosphere. Town of Davie is really cooperative with us because if the music's too loud, I'll ask them to turn it down. Mm-hmm. If there's a bright light or not enough light, they're like, yeah, go ahead, change that. So
they get it, which is half the battle.
Right, and they get it because they allowed us to educate them.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Right.
They're winning too.
It's a total win-win because not only the people who work there and the directors but the patrons of the gym are now engaging with our athletes.
I thought you might tear up for a second there, honestly, because that is everything.
It truly is
you
why.
You can put your glasses on if you start
I
crying.
know. It truly is why we do what we do. It's more than just a job. It's a mission now. It really is, and it's the families that we work with. We become family. Mm-hmm. And we become more, because of our backgrounds in education and all this stuff,
sure.
We become more than just their fitness coach. We become their advocates and their behavior people and their respite people and what do I do now people and, do you know anybody? And since kind of been around for a while, we know a lot of people. And so we get to point people in the right directions and make their life a little bit easier.
The impact that you're making is immeasurable. It truly, in so many levels.
It's rewarding. It's not easy, but it's rewarding.
He's hired.
Yeah.
Our best guest ever. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, let's roll.
Your experience with both behavior and crisis management brings a lot to the table for parents of certain ASD kiddos who may have parents of certain ASD kiddos who may have concerns leaving their child with you or anyone. How do you approach training with the severely affected or a child to say is prone to elopement?
So, just like any behavior analyst or behavior specialist or behavior therapist or teacher or professional would approach an environment, we would learn as much about each individual as we can through data, through intakes, through all that stuff. Now, if we know that we may be dealing with aggression or elopement or self-injury or pica or some of these things that are really difficult.
I don't think I know what pica is.
Yes, you eat like dirt, right? Or
Pica is the ingestion of unedible items.
Right. I may do that every day with my diet, but sorry.
No.
Yeah.
It could be grass.
So it could be anything.
Rocks,
It could be anything.
That's not even in my wheelhouse. That's
Not-
full on ingesting.
Really?
Full on ingesting, and it sometimes gets confused because a lot of individuals with autism have sensory needs and they chew stuff.
Yes.
Right. So that's not pica.
Okay.
And there's a distinction, which is they are putting it in the mouth because they want to swallow it and ingest it, not to chew on it.
Real. So that's a compulsion.
It's an anxiety disorder.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry for the sidebar, but I mean.
And it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Really, really dangerous.
Okay.
So.
Back to the topic.
Sorry.
The great thing about our program and our system is that because of our experience and because of some of the people that I brought on board, we do not preclude anyone from participating in our programs based on behavior difficulty.
What a concept.
Wow. Mind blown.
And I think I could say this with relative confidence that you probably won't find that with this type of program in South Florida. You need a lot of support and you need people to understand. So when I train my staff, often they come to me with training, but half of our training manual is behavior management, crisis management. I also have them go through and become crisis management certified. So that's part of our staff's responsibility, is to be CPR, AED, first aid, crisis management certified, go through my training. They have to intern with me while I coach them before I decide if I'm going to hire them as a coach in training. And
How young can a coach be?
so,
Like if there's a teenager that wants to do it in the summer.
yeah.
Or something
So
like that. Sorry, that was
I
totally
don't.
like.
Yeah, no, I don't really have an age limit.
Okay.
Just like our programs are individualized,
Okay.
as long as they can meet the responsibilities.
Okay.
So, and one of the responsibilities is not only dealing with the very serious nature of what may or may not happen during your sessions. Things happen, but you also have to deal with the public and their perception. You have to deal with parents' issues. So a great level of maturity has to come along with that.
Right.
So that I do have coaches that are young, but I pair them with experienced coaches to train.
Right.
Yeah, so my leads are professionals. And then I have some interns as well. So crisis management.
Sorry. Totally went off topic, as usual.
What?
We never do that.
Never.
So in my training in applied behavior analysis and my experience with working with OTs and PTs and speech language pathologists and teachers and all these other great
You're not
professionals.
very well rounded.
No, not at all.
Okay, just checking.
Not at all, because I like to take the best.
So
Our
lazy.
system,
I know, get off the couch.
our system takes the best evidence-based practices from all of that stuff, right? So there's things in ABA that don't necessarily apply, right? So we take the good things. One of the things that I've found over the years that truly, and you may not find this in an ABA book, as a matter of fact you won't, that really, really makes the biggest difference in managing difficult behavior is creating a relationship and a rapport with each individual. Okay? So we strive right off the bat to have each individual feel safe and have them trust us. So if they need a break, they can have a break. If it's too loud, we'll fix that for them. Right? Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to expose them little by little and try to change some of that stuff and build some different skills and tolerances and things like that. But right off the bat, they have to know we're a safe person. That. All right. So I just wanted to add a little bit to the behavior management component, crisis management component of the exceptional fitness structured teaching system, because that's the actual term. In order to really be successful, we have to engage in skill acquisition, behavior reduction, replacement behaviors, plan ignoring, all the things that you would find in a behavior plan. So, what we do is, if there's one of those behaviors that we talked about that's really difficult, we have to determine the function. Why is it happening? Okay, so when you determine why, that's when you can start managing it, changing it, reducing it, maintaining it, whatever you choose to do. So there is a very technical aspect of behavior analysis that goes into the system. It's just not so evident to the naked eye because it's embedded. It's not in a discrete trial booth where we're saying, right, checking a box and saying, do this, stand up, do this. Now, you may see some of that stuff embedded in what we're doing, but it's never in this isolation kind of thing. It's a very naturalistic, embedded environment that makes sense. So it can then generalize to other areas, other coaches. And we have the best chance of keeping each individual safe, coaches safe, and getting people healthy and fit. That's really the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal.
I love you so much. Can you come back next week and talk about
listen, I'll talk-
sexuality
I'll
or
talk-
like what? Yeah, I mean,
I will
anything.
talk.
Like,
I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
People,
really,
we are
so.
live on Facebook.
Yes.
Oh, I just
Watch
watch
your
your topic and
colorful-
Yeah,
I promise.
you know, so I do social safety programs and all sorts of.
Oh, good.
I would like to see
Yeah.
his book, his scheduling book, how everybody's locked in.
Oh my gosh.
Is this all day? Do you schedule all day?
We're gonna talk about your app at the end too. See?
Yes, yeah, the app.
Oh,
the
yeah.
app is going to be branded soon.
I don't want to talk about apps.
Apps. Appetizers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I take it back. I do want to talk about apps. Those are my kind of jam.
You know what word I like? What
Hi,
time I like?
Sharon on Facebook.
Hey, Sharon.
We
Hi,
love
Sharon.
you.
Come with
You know
us.
Sharon?
Yes, I'm going to see them a little bit later, I think.
Hey.
Okay, cool. So
Um,
then,
Hold, excuse me while I
Is
engage
it
my
me?
gorgeous glasses. Is
No.
it me? Is it him? Is it me? Is it
Keep
him?
walking.
you think
Walk.
of freestyle. Okay, you're going to do the let's say, or do you want to leave that one for last?
I'm sorry, I have a lot of freestyle going on in my head right now. FIU.
Focus.
Sorry.
Focus, squirrels. Do you want to?
You guys ask amazing questions, by the way. Just make it so easy.
We're only blonde.
What,
You know,
I'm
like
serious.
blondish, but we're
You guys did
know.
some major R&D.
Homework.
Major
Homework.
R&D. Nice. I like that.
It's called stalking.
No, it's well, you know.
I like when that happens too. We show someone, we're like, oh,
Taylor
we're like,
Potato.
boom, we go into the
Yeah, I love it.
Don't be
Tell us
fooled.
about your deep dark secrets.
Yes.
Don't be fooled by the hair.
Mine used to be blonde when I had. Really,
And
it
this
was.
is why you're here because
That's right.
we
Like a
apparently
had blonde?
It was, yes, very blonde and very long.
long.
Hence the Vans and the skate.
Correct.
You can't see.
Yes.
He's got Vans
Okay.
on. He runs
Yeah,
skateboard.
so-
Can't see that.
Okay, focus.
Focus. Okay, ready? Other one.
Squirrels run.
So, Jason, we
Mhm.
noticed that you use all the tools in your workout that not only work beautifully for ADHD moms, but are consistent
Sometimes.
with what your clients would see in classrooms or therapies, like ordered stations or visual supports. Why is this important?
It's important because it increases our chances of success by however many percentage points. Many percentage points. The teach work systems that are used in classrooms are one of the tools that we've transferred into the fitness environment on a larger scale. So, sorting, working top to bottom, left to right, color identification, top to bottom schedules, things like that. We basically took work systems and made them exercises as well.
That's
just a piece of what we do. So,
Yeah.
for instance, one of our signature exercises, and this was a term coined by my coach Chandler Poole. Chandler.
Hey, Chandler.
Chandler is my right-hand man, and he is like surpassing me as a coach. He's just amazing. He's a behavior tech. He's just amazing. So he has this exercise called Move the Mountain.
Oh.
And how we do it is we take a bunch of light dumbbells, or some heavier ones, and they're different colors, and we put them all in one pile, right? And then we take the risers from the stair stepper, the square things.
That's so 80s.
Yep. And we put those in a different location, and the individual has to sort them and move them. So you're building in this vocational work at the same time that you're building in kinesthetics and motor planning and grip strength and cardiovascular endurance and all these things, one simple exercise.
Crazy.
Right? So keep it simple. Can work many different areas of the body, and it's so preferred. And then you can progress it. So there's a thing called progression and regression in fitness. In behavior analysis, it would be called shaping or fading in and fading out. Right. So progression means making something more difficult. Regression means making it a little bit easier. So heavier, lighter, faster, slower, things like that. So what we would do is make those things further away or closer. The weight's heavier, lighter. Run, walk.
You stopped? Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or we may say, and because a big part of what we do is locomotion. That's one of our locomotion is running, hopping, skipping, jumping. Really hard, believe it or not. The motor planning to jump and skip.
Oh,
really
I know.
difficult.
Have you seen me jump rope?
So
I might
There's
have
not
to
going to be any like
So,
demo.
yeah. So
I should
well,
show you.
so teaching it has to be done through a task analysis and breaking down of steps and all that stuff. So we may, if somebody has hopping mastered, add that into the Move the Mountain. So now you're chaining together movements, just like you would in academics
Learning.
or in learning in general.
Mhm.
So then you start putting courses together, and
Yeah.
it really is an endless amount of combinations. So each coach has their own little style, and I let them take ownership as long as they're using our modalities and they're safe. I say they'll ask me, "Can I do this?" I say, "Is it safe?
Right.
Is it necessary?
Mm-hmm.
Go for it."
Will they dig it?
Exactly. Yep.
You can try.
Save. We stay on Facebook Live for that. Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Live.
Still, hold
Yeah,
on.
a
Let me take
little
my mirrors
longer.
off.
It's, yeah.
Hi, Melissa Howard.
Oh,
Hey,
Melissa.
Karen. Long time no talk. All right.
You want to just say what we're recording today? What are we recording today?
What are we recording today? Today we're with Jason Miletsky from Exceptional Fitness Foundation.
And we're going to start, and eventually we're just going to start saying EFF.
We'll see.
Because that's going to be the brand.
Here's
EFF.
the thing. Well, we can't say it on Facebook Live.
No.
But when I saw your hashtag,
Yeah, don't say it.
that's
Start-
what I'm
we're starting.
stuck on because my mind is.
That's what I saw. I was like, what is she doing?
And see, I did it in red so we can make sure we can insert that joke somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what's throwing us off
Mhm.
because that's kind of how some of us feel about fitness.
Right.
You know, generally.
So when
like,
it's fitness,
Well,
it's about fitness
so-
for the ASD.
Yes,
Well, what
we're-
she
we're
means
not
is
talking about
EFF is like sometimes we say, we don't want to go to the effing gym.
Right, that's true.
Right?
Sometimes.
So
How
that-
do you sometimes
we,
say that?
we actually were going to make shirts that said,
How to get the kids to the effing gym.
just
Yeah.
just
And the moms.
effing, just a bunch of effing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
so this
my
is what
life.
we're doing today.
In a
And
nutshell.
then,
Yeah.
of course, we had to do it in Let's Get Physical theme. So here we are.
That's us.
And this is what's going on.
Mhm.
So should we turn on one of those lights because it's dark for the video for YouTube?
Oh, now
Oh,
we're
Oh,
gonna
the
do
shine,
light.
the
Oh.
shine. I didn't powder.
Oh yeah, how's that? Is that
yeah,
good?
better. Yeah, because it's over.
I can multitask.
Okay.
Mhm.
How do you use the pool with your clients at the aquatic center, and what are the benefits? I'm asking for a friend, Oliver, my little one.
Sure.
He loves the pool.
Oh
So-
my God, he loves the pool.
And that is a good thing and a bad thing,
Oh,
right? Loving the pool. So, because water
Yes.
can be dangerous.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
very,
So-
very dangerous.
So we use water, the pool, in a couple different ways. One is for exercise.
Come in to the shop.
One is for exercise, and one is to teach them safety. So water exercise is really pretty self-explanatory, but we get very creative. So water offers resistance. So just swimming is exercise. Just moving your body in water offers more resistance and less impact on your joints than
100%.
other types of exercise. But for some individuals, we do things like pulling yourself out of the pool and jumping back in.
Yeah.
Pulling yourself out of the pool.
All he can. He can.
Right. Going to the shallow end and jumping, right? So you get this resistance. Moving your arms back and forth. It's just endless, really. Treading water. There's all sorts of things. Diving to pick things up, to get, there's a lot of sensory stuff going on there as well that is pretty enjoyable for some individuals. It's very peaceful down there.
Which pool do you use for this? The pine pool?
So-
It's attached.
We use that pool, but we also do home programming.
Okay.
So we use pools at individuals' homes, and that's really where we do our safety component, is in an individual's home.
But can it be therapeutic? Again, asking for a friend.
Can it be therapeutic?
So many
I
questions.
don't
So-
Brenda. Have you met her?
Everything we do is therapeutic, right? So
Well, meaning like my son, just I'm just gonna put it out there. he can swim to the edge, but he can't.
okay.
Jump,
So do you
and he
mean
can't.
therapeutic or do you
I mean
mean
therapy. I mean a
it-
program for him that's not about safety per se. Like
Sure. Sure.
that doesn't focus on just like. I mean, I guess it's all
Water
relative,
exercise.
It's all the same.
Aqua
Yeah, you're right.
exercise.
It's
Yeah.
all- yeah.
So it's all kind of gets mixed together, right? So whatever that individual needs and the family's goals are, that's kind of where we go with it. So we'll take an individual and have them exercise in the pool because it's just fun and sometimes it's hot and things like that. But if we know an individual has a propensity to go towards water and they can't swim, things like that, we'll start teaching some safety components, which is floating on your back,
Right, yeah, those are needed. Okay.
getting yourself to
So
the
it's a little bit of
side,
everything.
and pulling yourself out. We don't do swimming lessons.
Right, that's
Okay,
what,
good
okay.
question.
So,
Yeah.
That's what I was
We
saying.
are not going to teach different types of strokes and things like that. That's not what we do. One of the things in our mission are social safety programs. So how to cross the street, how to walk around your neighborhood, how to be near a canal and not jump into it, things like that.
Oh my God.
So that's community-based instruction.
Jason, your Exceptional Athletes program is designed to expose your clients to sports-related skills. And so I'm so for that. My son is as strong as an ox, but swinging a bat or throwing a ball, it's pretty scary. Not to mention his stellar sportsman skillships.
I'm back there.
He boots for his brother's own baseball team. Not always, but always at the most inappropriate times. So please fill us in about that. I really love that.
Sure. So this is a project that's in development, and what it's designed to do is to expose individuals on the spectrum, or anyone for that matter, to different sports skills. So striking is a sports skill.
This kind of striking?
Well, that is a strike, but you can strike a volleyball, you can kick a soccer ball, that's a strike, you can hit a baseball, there's all sorts of things. So there are skill-based components to fitness, right? Balance, coordination, all those things. If an individual learns to become better at those, they're more likely to enjoy a sport. We do know that some of our guys don't particularly enjoy team sports. And that's okay.
It's hard.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a difference between and not enjoying like Dylan in basketball. Like he knew to try and shoot, but the whole part of like defense, like
Right.
he was just standing there,
Right.
so he didn't really grasp the. It was
That's
it,
overwhelming for any kid.
right, but it's the concept of now. Okay, so it's not only about shooting the ball. Now you have to take turns trying to grab the ball and trying to shoot, and he.
So
Shooting, yes. Team sports.
What we want to do is build these prerequisite skills, these core skills, these survival skills in order to be more successful, which will hopefully lead to more enjoyment and participation in a sport. So what that'll probably look like, or what it will look like, is a variety of different sports skills in a session, different stations.
Okay.
Right? So, and we're not going to play a game yet. We're just going to learn the skills. Again, you can get fit learning skills. So, that's going to lead to our Exceptional Athletes program, which will be hopefully be sports leagues that are inclusive.
Hence cloning.
Right.
Because I can see this really, really, really taking off.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about, the more, it seems common sense. The more skilled you are at something, the more confident you are. Like my typical son, if he's striking out, he freaking hates baseball. But if he's jamming at it, he's like, can't wait to go back.
Or even familiar. Because remember, new things are anxiety.
New, different.
They're anxiety producing. So if they've been exposed, even if they're not a home run hitter, they're familiar with what's expected, which makes them more likely to go step into the batter's box and try, rather than avoid the anxiety that goes along with it. So,
and like with any child, it's steps. Get to the box. Choke up on the bat.
Exactly, and it's using all of the supports that an individual needs to make them feel comfortable and safe. Because feeling safe, and in our guiding principles, and we have a few of those, number one is safety and building rapport. Because without that, we can't go further. So if an individual trusts and they feel safe, they'll let you walk them to the batter's box and put your hands on top of them. And human dignity is another one of our guiding principles. So before we put our hands on top of their hands and physically prompt, we ask permission.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I help you hold the bat? They have a right to say no.
Yeah.
Right? So these are, you often see a lot of physical prompting and manipulating of people, and that's necessary sometimes, but some people don't take into account that these are people. And they have a right not to be touched if they don't want to be touched, or taught that this is not going to hurt when I touch you, and this is how we're going to learn. I'm helping you. So there's a method to the madness, for sure.
Just gonna say.
Yes, we can
There's
relate.
always a method.
We can relate.
Let's say I'd like to get my child started in your program,
Mhm.
as you had us at Life Skills. And before we tune anyone out, please don't, because I imagine the number one reason why families do not look into special needs fitness programs, specialized programs for their children, is the cost.
Mhm.
Tell us how EFF tackles that issue, please.
Sure. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we do charge for our programs. The reason we charge for our programs is because we use a very high level of professional to implement. So we don't use volunteers to teach our system. We may use volunteers for perimeter safety or some things like that, but to actually teach, we take care of our coaches. That being said, what we try to do is offer as much value for each person's dollar as possible. So there's a lot of intangibles that go along with what we do. So advocacy and advice and taking our backgrounds and fielding some phone calls of a parent who says, this just happened at home, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
That's free.
Yeah.
What we also do is we will not turn anybody away based on inability to pay, which makes it sometimes, not more than sometimes, a negative return each month. It does. So we have to get really creative with fundraising, building community partnerships, getting sponsorships, writing grants. And the ultimate way to do that is to have the community understand that we truly care about the people we work with and the families we work with.
I've said this before, the value is immeasurable. So, but you are working with these individuals that you're placing back into the community every day. You are contributing to the community in so many ways. You forget you're changing families' lives and you're altering these children's everything
Mm-hmm.
with fitness, because you can't even explain how many benefits there are, but it really is a win-win, like we talked about before.
We have also identified, and this goes back to a question you asked before about how old you have to be a coach.
Yeah.
Right. So
All right.
we've identified a few of our teenagers to be coaches in training. So now we're looking at vocation. Right. So
You can't see on the audio that my mouth is dropping.
yeah. So
We're all about that.
and as we all should be. So I'm actually mentoring a couple of individuals on the spectrum from other places to help them start their personal fitness business at because I want to help them. They come to our program, they learn, and but also we have a few teenagers in our program that they're learning the system. Right, so now they're becoming coaches in training. So I maybe pair a 15-year-old with a 7-year-old just coming in. Right, now they're not really by themselves coaching, but there becomes this vocation. Right, so please show them how we do ball slams. Go ahead, teach them. Right, and then I start to back away a little bit. Right, so we're building that independence, that confidence. And ultimately, I'd like to hire a few of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, and that is full. It's
I was
full
just
circle.
going to say full circle.
That's full
It's
circle.
full circle.
You know, so it's like any other place, gym, whatever, that somebody gets good at something and it turns into their vocation. Why not?
And that person just happens to
Why?
be on the spectrum.
Irrelevant.
That's the best word you've said all day. And we've said a lot.
Irregardless.
Yep.
Irregardless.
Well, and it actually is advantageous to us to have individuals on the spectrum on our coaching team because we will learn truly much more about what's effective and what works and what may not work from them.
And some may be able to verbalize more something you know, a benefit that you never knew that they were
Absolutely.
They
getting.
can show a new
Absolutely.
approach
Mhm.
Yes.
that maybe you didn't think of.
I might feel
Absolutely.
uncomfortable doing it this. He might feel uncomfortable doing that way. Let's try this way because I know
Absolutely.
firsthand.
Absolutely, and you know, we have individuals that are now telling us, "Oh, Coach Jason, I feel so strong now. Now when I go to school, I don't walk with my head down."
Aww.
You know, and so like
It's everything.
that's just. I remember being a teenager. It wasn't fun at all. You know, and so then add in some of these difficulties. There's so much to be gained by becoming physically stronger, emotionally stronger, overcoming things you think you can't do. Do one more rep. See, I told you could do it. Yeah.
Can you give us some insight into a day in the life? Perhaps talk about a challenging experience you had and
Sure.
a successful one. I mean, sure, they could all turn into success.
Sure.
But we want to hear like the nitty gritty, like what was really challenging and a success story.
Sure.
I mean, it
So-
could be the same. I don't know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so there's a number of individuals that we've worked with that families approached us with different difficulties. Some of them were sleep problems, not sleeping the entire night, ever. Right? So one individual, we ended up working with him at home 4 nights a week from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Very intense exercise. He went from sleeping less than 2 hours a night to, after only 3 weeks, sleeping through the night. So mom was obviously beside herself that this was one of the effects. And it took a little experimentation because some people get hyped up if they exercise and they can't sleep. So we had to look at the timing of when we did that. What was going to help them most? Fortunately, we found the right time. So that was a huge
Life altering.
Yeah,
Oh my God, when there's sleep problems, that is.
Mm-hmm.
it affects the entire family
my
system.
gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm an
not
ogre, and even when I sleep.
yeah. So not only were parents happier and more rested, siblings were
course.
happier and more rested. It just became a better home environment because of it. What we found was when we took breaks, he regressed back to the norm.
Ooh.
So that's what gave us the data that showed what we were doing was working.
Right.
Right. So which is great. Some of the more difficult, and I don't really like to use the word difficult, maybe challenging or involved or more impacted are some of our younger guys that come in that have never really experienced the school environment. They haven't experienced much therapy because they may not be approved for Medicaid waiver or whatever, so they really haven't been exposed to a whole lot of teaching. So they have a lot of aversions to demands, to people being in their space, to routines, to all of these things. So we really have to build all those prerequisite skills and safety to help them become successful. Individuals with autism often present with muscle tone, difficulties with balance. There's a lot of physical traits and kinesthetics that people don't realize are going on. Hip weakness. So We look for that, particularly in our younger guys. And so the challenge to that is to be able to work on those things and get complaints. So we often go through stages of the first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month of some heavy duty non-compliance, tantruming.
That's me.
Yeah.
I signed the gym membership and I have the non-compliance.
Yeah. And not because they don't want to exercise or they don't want it. They don't know what's expected of them.
Right.
So it's very fearful. They don't know where they are. They've never been there. So what we do in those instances is include parents, right, and then fade them out. Include a preferred person or a preferred item. Transition items, things that make them feel comfortable. So, one in particular, my first session with him, and this was one of our first clients. It was before we were even at Davie. We met him at a park. The first session was me sitting on a bench next to him while he yelled and screamed and cried, and me letting him know he was safe.
Right, to build the trust.
And build the trust. Mom was nearby. He could see her. And I had her move slowly further and further away.
Like crying it out for adults.
But, yes.
Yeah.
Because you kind of move
So
on.
there's this extinction burst, but at the same time, I did not want that to become a traumatic event for him.
Right.
Right? So because if that becomes that first traumatic event, we're done.
My son had
the next time.
horrible separation anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. I can't even tell you how many bouquets I've sent, how many packages of paper towels and Lysol spray I've sent to, daycares or, gym daycares essentially, because it was hard. And we didn't use techniques because we didn't know.
Right.
We didn't know.
Right. And the biggest technique is just being a nice person. Really.
Right. Someone you want to be around.
Yeah. Have empathy. Right. So this mom, one of the comments she said to me in the first and second session was, I just don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to work for you. I don't think that. He's never, he doesn't do this. Once this happens,
It's
he's
over.
done. He's done. And I said, trust me, because I'm not giving up, and we will continue to make him feel safe. And little by little, we started introducing some exercise stuff that he preferred. So we have opportunity for positive reinforcement, and it becomes this chain. And now, mom it's irrelevant if mom's there now. Yeah. Now it's like, yeah, hey,
bye, Mom.
Yeah, bye. And that's a pretty typical story. Some are more difficult than others. Some come right in and they're fine. Many have difficulty with new people and routines. So I include the family in that. But I also fade them as quickly as possible.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
A little bird told us you're working on an app to make your families' lives even easier.
Well,
what else is on the horizon for EFF? And please, if you have any announcements, do tell.
Yeah, so, about the app.
The app. Appetizer?
An appetizer.
I like the term heavy apps, just for the record.
Heavy apps.
Heavy apps.
Nachos?
I like
Light apps?
So, one of our biggest challenges is scheduling, collecting payments, communicating with families, reminders, all of these things. So I've spent the last 2 years researching fitness-based software, business management software.
It's a huge process.
Right? So I finally found one after trying a few and not working out. That's good.
Working out.
And that was affordable. That we have now begun to use. It has not been rolled out to parents for their signing yet, but in this month it will be.
How cool.
Right? So then they're going to be able to book themselves. They're going to be able to pay. They're going to be able to change appointments. They're going to be able to email. They're going to be able to get newsletters.
Have a credit card in there.
Credit card, all that stuff. And the coolest part of the whole thing is that this app, which is called PT Minder, is brandable.
Oh, so you can put your
Right.
your stamp
So
on it.
you have to get an Apple developer account and then submit, and it then will become the EFF app.
That's great.
It
Right.
will be the effing app.
The effing app.
That effing app
And-
crashed again. Oh no, I don't want to jinx you.
Within that app, there's going to be a couple different levels. So you'll have your app where you can do your normal things, pay and, see your schedule and all that stuff.
course.
Coaches have it. We're also going to create a library of exercises.
Oh.
Ooh.
So that will be broken down step by step. So if families want to continue what we're doing at home or someplace else, they can just pull it up, right? These videos or pictures or whatever. And we may offer like a membership for that or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we're gonna exactly differentiate the two,
Right.
but it's still not gonna be this exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
It may be a $20 donation to EFF or something like
Sure.
that gives you extra access to
And
that
it's no
level.
replacement for what you're doing. My trainer does that. She
Right.
will
Mhm.
prescribe,
Right.
I guess, some things for
Mhm.
me. Now, whether or not I actually
Mhm.
do those things
Don't
is a
tell on
completely
yourself.
different story. But no, actually, I do because honesty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
And there's, we'll call it maybe some homework. What's cool about this app is there's a client management area where they can film themselves
Oh, and share.
and share
Yeah.
and show us what
So
they're doing.
And they're accountable, yeah.
Oh.
Maybe you could get badges, like a
Well-
badge for
well,
like every
so
level of video.
it's
You upload a
interesting
video.
it's interesting that you say that. So, and this didn't come up. I don't know why this didn't come up. So, part of our system is a level system. So we have a rubric of skills, and as you progress, and each individual is different, we use different color shirts, just like a martial art with belts. So that's why in our videos you see
So in
people
ballet too. You
with
had to
different.
get the leotard, the black leotard.
You see people with different color shirts.
Okay.
And there's a really good reason for that. It's not just, so it's an accomplishment, yes.
Sure.
But it also lets coaches know what each individual is capable of and where they are in the system.
Twofold.
Right.
So a coach knows, okay, if he's a blue shirt, he already mastered XYZ exercises. All right, so yellow is coming next. So we're only 3 color shirts into this, and we're gonna go to probably 6. Yeah.
Your martial arts background is serving you well.
Yeah.
Sensei.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's it draws from that. I've never been a huge component of belts and formalities and things. This is more of a informal data keeping system.
Sure. And then, I was going to ask you about reinforcement,
Mhm.
as if it's not a reinforcement in itself,
Mhm.
the endorphins and everything you get, the camaraderie and everything you get out of fitness. But I was curious about reinforcement and,
Mhm.
because that can be controversial with,
Yeah.
therapies as far as like, hey, you did this, here's a,
Mhm.
here's an Applejack.
Right.
Something controversial in autism? No.
No way.
That would never happen.
So, as a rule of thumb, we try not to use edibles. Try.
I almost asked that a little while ago. I'm really against edibles for
So,
sorry.
if we have,
I wasn't having an edible. That was coming up really
So
wrong.
if we have a-
yeah,
if
for
we-
ADA use or for
Yes.
like behavior, like I feel like food should be a given, and I feel like kids should not have to work
Absolutely.
for food. It drives me insane.
Absolutely.
That's just me.
So the only time
One
we
of the many
ever
things.
use edibles, and so I've been at this for quite a while, and maybe one
Is
of
if they want carrots. No, I'm kidding.
well,
I'm kidding.
sometimes crunchy. But if
Yeah.
we've tried every other preferred item,
At least initially.
Mm-hmm.
social, tangible, activity based, everything, and we're just having difficulty motivating, or if we see crisis behavior coming on, right? Because we want to head that off,
Yeah.
right? So I would rather give a raisin and head off potentially dangerous behavior, so, but what we do with that is fade it very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm talking within 1 or 2 sessions.
Having something in your hip pocket is
Well,
golden.
and it's
Not to
so-
raisin pun.
yeah. Well, hip
Golden
pockets.
raisin.
Hip pockets. Our coaches carry gloves. Okay, a CPR mask, hand sanitizer, this is part of their responsibility to make sure that we have our uniform shirt on, we have our badge on. On the back of those badges are going to be notices that the individuals we work with may not follow commands because things happen,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yes.
So, so safety is really a forte that is entrenched in what we do. I try to account for every contingency. You can't, but you can try.
All right, we rock. We did success story, partner. I don't think we skipped anything. It
No,
would help
that's
to
it.
have my glasses on.
No.
It's all a blur.
Want my
No,
contacts?
we can look
Okay. Is this good? Is this a good look?
Let's see. It's perfect.
Okay, cute. She's so cute. Okay.
Okay, so we're on Brenda?
Yeah.
That's you. Okay.
Always on brand.
Who's on Brenda?
On brand. On brand.
I was gonna say who's on first, but who's on Brenda's. So
Then it passed first.
OMG, no comment.
We have no fun here at the Sorority Blondes
No,
Enterprises.
at
No
all.
fun. Okay.
You're taping?
I am.
Okay. I didn't hear the click. Okay. Jason.
Yes.
We'll remind our listeners you're very active on social media, and a great place to start with information about your program is exceptionalfitness.org.
Yes.
We have plenty of friends who will gladly offer personal testimonials to the magic that you are creating. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me and bringing awareness of what we're doing. And I told you I could talk forever because I'm real passionate about
We
this.
can relate.
No.
Yeah.
We
And
hate talking.
We're all over social media, so we're
Same,
Instagram,
same.
Facebook,
Good.
TikTok,
You're on TikTok?
Snapchat,
Definitely not on
We-
TikTok. We're not going to get on.
YouTube.
Okay.
We're gonna every platform because you never know which one
Are
is
you a
gonna be.
Visco
Thank
girl
you.
also?
Visco
We're
girl.
close.
No.
Oh, we're kind of viscoing today.
Yeah.
With the
Disco. I'm more disco.
So yeah. So and
Visco.
on there is a really good representation. We tell our story. That's what we do.
Of
We
course,
tell our
yeah.
story.
It's a
We
great
show
site.
examples. It's not contrived. It's not actors. It's
Oh
this
my
is
gosh,
what
no.
this is what's going on.
No.
You know, and we love interaction. Try to offer
Awesome.
suggestions.
So, Bren, can we go to Dunkin' Donuts now?
That's the comments.
I guess not. So I guess it's time for our final rinse.
Rinse it.
Rinse it. Rinse. Yeah, rinse. Okay.
Those blonde locks of
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Remember, we have a brand new YouTube channel featuring our season 2 episodes, as well as video collages of events we've hosted and attended. There is so much more to come. Right, Bren?
Yay, we're trying.
Please subscribe, and sharing is caring.
Keyword here, I am active daily on Instagram and Facebook, and once in a while on our Twitter account. Kristi just does what she's told. You know, she's here. Once in a while, she's fired. And it's okay, Kristi. Kristi wrote this for me to say, so it's all good. It's all good.
It's all a true story, though. The Anchor app, also notable, spelled ANCHOR. You're welcome, Lawrence Papripkin. Recuerda is the best way to experience our podcast. Once you find the fun voice messaging feature, nothing will hold you back from commenting on our episodes. Just be nice.
Our website is chock full of chunky blonde highlights, so head on over to spy our new features. Find it at disorderlyblondes.com.
We'd love to hang out longer, but we're off to exercise.
Extra fries? Como? Pilates? Pies and lattes? Sure.
Bye, everyone.
That's it for today. Bye.
Thank you,
Woo!
Jason.
Thank you, Jason, for
Thank
being
you.
here. Yay. We out.
Do you see the time?
No. What? 12:45?
1 hour
Stop.
and 33 seconds.
That never happens.